I am really, really excited. So Ashley Wright is joining us for this next session. Ashley is the CEO and founder of the Wright Success. So Ashley is an energetic and ambitious girl boss who quit the corporate 9-to-5 world to pursue her love of crypto, travel, and empowering others. Now, Ashley is on a mission to help others create generational wealth through crypto. And with over 8 years of experience in business and direct sales, she has built a global brand with the Crypto Strategy Academy. Now, she leads the industry as one of the top crypto educators in Canada and is also the co-founder of Crypto Babes, an online community for women excited to learn about crypto, which has over 22,000 members. Ashley has spoken at many conferences and was featured by Women of Influence and Gal Talks Tech, and she continues to impact others. Ashley, we are so happy to have you grace our stage today and cannot wait to hear from you. Now, Ashley is going to be joined in conversation with Power to Fly's own amazing lead of data operations, Abigail Bashan. Now, Abby works to help diverse candidates, most often women, connect with professional opportunities. And while she is frequently asked, how can I best position myself for a career pivot, this question really resonates with Abby because her own professional background definitely appears as a series of pivots. I am right there with her, and I think there's many more among us. Now, going from real estate to financial advising, recruiting, all of this is in Abby's wheelhouse. And the truth is, these changes were not random. They were a reflection of deliberate steps that she took as she grew professionally and sought increasingly impactful ways to help people, especially women, achieve success across some of life's fundamental responsibilities, like finding the right career, finding the right home, and figuring out the money stuff in between. I am incredibly excited to listen in on this conversation. So Ashley and Abigail, I'm going to turn the stage over to you. Take it away.
Thanks, Meg. Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Abigail, how are you? I'm so excited for today's conversation.
Yeah, me too. And I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I'm going to apologize in advance because I can hear my dog downstairs. I hope no one else can. So, let's just kind of dive right in. Meg gave a great introduction, but I'd love to hear about you from you. Who are you and what got you into the world of crypto?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, my name is Ashley. I am an entrepreneur. I'm based out of Toronto, Canada. And in terms of, my businesses, I am the founder of the Crypto Strategy Academy. So I teach people how to invest, trade, and earn within crypto. And then also co-founder of Crypto Babes. So I'm really excited about of that community where we really just create a really great network of women that are excited about blockchain, that are excited about crypto, and really just want to, continue to grow that mission that we have to, get more women into this space because it tends to be pretty male dominated. So we are really happy to have such a great network. And, for me, to be honest, I actually never had, a tech background. I heard about crypto back in 2016, heard about it through my parents. And they were talking about crypto, talking about Bitcoin, and no one was really talking about that much back in 2016. So when they brought that to me, I kind of thought they were crazy. But I'm like, you know what, let me just give it a try. And so I started investing, started to see some really great results, fell in love with it, and then was able to just turn it into a business as well. And now that's really what I focus on, just helping people to create wealth through crypto.
That is so super interesting. And for me personally, I actually do also come from a background of financial services, but what I would say, very traditional financial services, which, let's be clear, it's not just crypto, financial services, male-dominated industry. Part of the reason why I'm not there anymore. So this is very, very interesting to me to learn more about, this, yes, it's been around for a while, but really growing financial resource, financial strategy and way for people to build wealth. So I'm definitely want to touch more on the nature of the industry and how we need to get more diversity in it and all that good stuff. But before we get there, I kind of want to make sure everyone's on the same page. So, can you define cryptocurrency, but also can you define blockchain? Because I feel like that one's also probably a little less understood. just so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, that's a really great question too, because a lot of times, especially for people that are new to the space, sometimes people always ask me, like, is Bitcoin and blockchain, is that the same thing? Are they different, right? And how are they different? So yes, definitely a great question. So when we think about blockchain, I like to think of blockchain as kind of like the foundation, right? Where, cryptocurrency is what most people talk about, but cryptocurrency is just one application or one use case of blockchain technology itself. And so when we kind of break down even a little bit further, thinking about what is cryptocurrency as an example, really that's just a digital currency, right? The concept is more focused on decentralization, which, allows you to really have more freedom, less limitations like we do with our current currency, right? And at the same time, really gives us more access and really just allows us to quote unquote be our own bank, right? Which is really exciting. But yes, it's still a currency, but everything is virtual, which is really awesome. And then when we think about blockchain is really just the applications, like the technology that allows us to even have something like cryptocurrency, right? And allow that to exist. And to kind of, take that even a step further, blockchain is actually just a chain of blocks, right? And within those blocks, there's essentially almost like a timestamp or essentially like a public ledger for all transactions, which is really cool. So they are definitely separate, but at the same time, they do work together, which is really important as well.
Cool. So the way that I understand it, blockchain is really something that could be applied not just with cryptocurrency, but across financial services to say, this is the ledger of how this currency, whether it's dollars or crypto or whatever it is, how is it moving? It goes from here to here, it purchases this, it goes from there. It's a ledger of the record of how this currency moves. Whereas cryptocurrency is what's moving and being traded and being spent or invested in, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you said it perfectly.
Cool.
I love it.
So, all right. So let's then kind of shift back, because I definitely want to talk about how, certainly with the rise of crypto, there's definitely this kind of vibe around it that it's a very white male dominated space. But you said it before, I think that it's the nature of it is decentralized. So it has this ability potentially to democratize the economy and help, I imagine, help build wealth into communities that haven't had as much access in the past. So I want to get into that and talk about that a bit more.
Yeah. And that's a really great point, because that's actually one of my favorite things about crypto, that decentralization aspect, where it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, what your background is, or anything, right? You can still participate in this space, right? And there's so many ways to get involved, right? A lot of times people think of it as cryptocurrency as just the investing piece, but there's so much more. And to be honest, blockchain is actually more exciting to me than crypto, because like you mentioned, it can be used in so many different industries, like from healthcare all the way to something like real estate, as an example, right? So there's a lot more applications and a lot of different ways it can be used. And for those individuals that start learning about it, start getting excited about it, you can actually use that to actually position yourself to create wealth, right? Kind of just getting ahead of the curve. But like I said, that the aspect of really just having that freedom to get involved however you wish, that's the powerful and like really exciting part, where it's like now it's like anybody that's from, I guess, the minorities are able to come into this, still participate, and it doesn't even matter what your current situation looks like. And honestly, that's probably one of my favorite things about this space. But yes, it is essentially freedom in that aspect.
Awesome. Yeah. I want to understand it a little bit more. And again, like for me, coming from, again, like I would say, more of a traditional financial background. So I used to be a financial advisor before I moved out of the country, and you can't do that anymore if you're not within the country. So the way that I always kind of understood traditional investing was, you have to open up a brokerage account, you buy into certain funds or investments, and come up with your investment plan, et cetera. And, full acknowledgement, it's complicated. there's a lot of it that, for me, biased having come from the industry, I'm like, okay, you open an account. People know how to open a bank account. It's similar. And then you buy in, but there's a ton of different investment options. It can get really overwhelming. And there's such a lack of general knowledge on how to access it that I think is a very key boundary, a very key barrier, to people getting involved with investing and growing wealth in that way. So what is it specifically about cryptocurrency that helps to remove barriers and helps to be more accessible so that folks can really participate and build wealth there?
Yeah. You said it. You said a really key point, which is that education piece as well, right? Because I think, kind of like you mentioned, like there is that type of hype around crypto and that kind of trend around it. But there's a lot of people getting into the space, not really understanding exactly how to get in the right way, or how do I start actually purchasing or securing these digital assets that I'm buying. And at the same time, that also presents a lot of risks, right? So even when we think about thinking about cryptocurrency, yes, it's great from an investment perspective, or being able to trade it or being able to earn it. But at the same time, understanding like what you're really getting into is just as important, because it is very volatile, right? We've seen Bitcoin jump up, jump down quite a bit, right? And I think a lot of people right now are also kind of nervous, wondering, what's going to happen? Is there still hope for crypto? And once again, just goes back to the education piece, right? Understanding that, yes, traditional investments have a strategy. And that's also one of the reasons why I kind of like to implement that same concept to crypto, right? So even before I help someone get into crypto, I'm like, listen, we need to have go through a self-assessment, talk about the type of investor that you are, right? Your risk tolerance level, because like you said, there's so many different options, right? I think there's over 15,000 different cryptocurrencies, right? And so it's like, before you start diving in, you really need to understand, the best way to actually approach the market. Because there's just so many ways to get involved, so many ways to actually monetize it as well. And you want to make sure you're doing it the right way, right?
For sure. Which on that, I did have a question prep because I wanted to ask, because it feels very related, is that, yes, we've seen the crypto trend come through, and, we're still digesting that. And as it's getting more ingrained with our financial markets, seeing, what the impact is there. I've also been seeing now, and I feel like this is the new trendy thing, people are talking about NFTs. And maybe I'm just too old. I don't understand. What is that? And why are they different? And do you buy them through the same platforms that you would get invested with cryptocurrency? Like, what is that?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think that's probably the super hot topic right now. NFTs are exciting. And it's like, now you're watching TV or you see celebrities posting on social media. Everybody's talking about NFTs. Everybody has their own. And you're just like, what is this thing, right? But yeah, it is something that is, changing the game a little bit in terms of being able to access things or digital assets that are still very unique, right? So think of it as, as an example, if we think about the dollar today, right? If I have $1, you have $1, and we decide to exchange, that's fine. They're interchangeable. They're exactly the same. But when it comes to NFTs, it's not the same, even though they may look the same, right? If let's say we both have a picture of the dollar or whatever the case is, even though they may look the same, they're not interchangeable in that way, right?
Oh. Oh no, I think we lost Ashley. Oh.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
I can. Lost you for just a moment. So you were saying that even though they may look the same, they're not interchangeable.
Correct. Yes, that's right. That's right. They're a little bit different. And so that's the part that actually makes it really unique as well, because when we think about it, and actually there's examples right now, imagine like a celebrity releasing a song, right? And in order to actually get access to that song, be able to actually listen to it, maybe they're only going to create maybe like 100 digital copies of it, right? And so it's like now you can create assets that are a little bit more unique, that allow you to have some more exclusivity to it as well. And it really gives creators a
I think she froze again.
Yeah, it looks like we might be having difficulty with Ashley's audio and video, but Ashley, if you can still hear me, it might help to just turn your video off and then everyone can still hear you speaking, just in case it's a bandwidth issue. But thank you to all of our audience members for hanging tight with us. We definitely appreciate the patience.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think it is definitely a technical issue. So
No
I
problem.
apologize about that. But yeah, I was just kind of mentioning that, especially when it comes to the creators now, cryptocurrency and specifically NFTs allow us to have the exclusivity and gives creators especially more control over their work, which is the exciting part. So there's a lot of different kinds of NFTs as well, like, from collectibles, I think is probably one of the most popular ones. But yes, it is definitely a new asset class as well. So, my recommendation for those that are looking to get involved, right, there's different ways for sure, but ideally you want to kind of find a space that you're specifically excited about, right? Because there's NFTs in the sports space, in the arts, in the fashion, and literally in almost every category. So you want to make sure to find the space or the industry that you're excited about, and then start looking at some of the NFTs in that space where you can actually participate by maybe purchasing the actual digital NFT itself, or one of my favorites is maybe just purchasing a cryptocurrency that's like tied to that NFT project or in that space as well. So there's different ways to get involved.
That's really interesting. So, I reiterate from my own education. Basically, the way that I understand it is an NFT is essentially the digital version of kind of like the art market. Like if you purchased, an original Van Gogh and you have that and that's yours and no one else can have the original Van Gogh piece. We understand that because it's physical, it's a physical piece. An NFT is essentially like digitizing that type of market. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And at the same time, like I said, right now, a lot of us are focusing on it from the like digital collectibles and the art space, but it still can be used in a lot of different ways, right? Even starting to think about literally just the concept of turning physical assets into digital assets, right? It is part of that concept as well. So there are a lot of really exciting ways. So I highly recommend definitely taking a look into it, reading up some more, but it is definitely something that's changing the game for sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, coming back to cryptocurrency, blockchain more generally, I want to know, from your perspective, what would you say are some of the biggest misconceptions around this space that you've come across?
Yeah, I think one of the top ones is, especially for those that are getting into the space, is like understanding that you don't actually have to buy a full coin to actually start investing in crypto. I think a lot of times people see the price of Bitcoin, get really intimidated because, of course, of the price. But in reality, it's like you don't actually have to purchase a full one, right? You can just own a fraction, right? And that's the same concept of having like turning physical assets into digital assets and fractionalized ownership as well, right? Which is really exciting. So that is one piece. The other one we actually touched on, which is, the fact that Bitcoin and blockchain are actually two different things. They're not the same. And then the other one as well is knowing that you don't actually need a lot of money to get into crypto, right? I think a lot of times people feel that, investing in general, or even when it comes to cryptocurrency, that, number one, you need to have a lot of money to get involved. And then number two, that is too volatile, as well to actually monetize it, right? But the truth is, like, even though cryptocurrency is volatile, you can still make money and actually, monetize in different ways. And that's where, I always love to talk about like the 3 crypto income streams, being able to actually invest, which is more like long-term, being able to trade, and then also being able to earn crypto. So there are a lot of different ways.
Could you talk a little bit more about the trading and the earning? Because I think for me, when I think of crypto, I just think of buying in, like, whether it's a partial coin or a full coin. But could you talk about the other 2 a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So when we're thinking about like buying, right, you do have the option to, of course, just buy some of those cryptocurrencies. But at the same time, when we think about the idea of something like with NFT, being able to actually buy the digital asset, right? So there's different ways to get involved. And it's like, before you even dive in, once again, you want to get a good idea of what your current situation looks like, creating that strategy of, what are my goals? What does my timeline look like? How much capital do I have right now? And then based on that information, that's where you kind of are able to define what your approach will look like towards the market, right? But I think a lot of times people kind of tend to do it the other way around. They kind of just get in first and kind of figure it out later. But I think it's definitely more strategic to kind of have that foundation set first and then be able to dive in through some of those different ways.
Sure. So can you tell me, I'm shifting gears a little bit, because we had a question that came in that was asking about, could you provide books or seminars, webinars to learn more about these topics? But I know that you are the co-founder of Crypto Babes, which I don't know if that's like, because you're doing education like yourself. So is that under the Wright success? Is that with Crypto Babes? Can you tell me more about like where that is? What's going on there?
Yeah, definitely. For sure. So yes, I do have my own education platforms and stuff like that. I do have my own crypto academy. So that one is like deep diving into crypto, those 3 income streams that we talked about. So there are a lot of really great resources. And in terms of like more general resources, something like CoinGecko is really great when it comes to, learning about some of the different coins that are out there. And then, there's a lot of really great platforms that have great like newsletters that once again provide even more great information about some of the latest trends, different changes in the space. So CoinGecko has a pretty good newsletter. CoinDesk is another really great platform. So there are a few. I also have my own newsletter as well, sending out some great information, just like about this event today. Definitely. But yeah, there are a lot of resources. But for my academy, the Crypto Strategy Academy is a lot of information for those that want to like deep dive and really just go all in with it as well.
Awesome. And is the Crypto Academy, is that what the work you're doing at Crypto Babes, or is that something different?
Yes, that's actually something different. So the Crypto Strategy Academy is like my own academy and that own community. And then we have another community, which is Crypto Babes. And that one's like specifically geared towards women that are in the space with crypto and blockchain.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And so is Crypto Babes more of networking to, work together, or are you, are there certain things that you're accomplishing with that community?
Yeah, so with Crypto Babes, it is definitely a network. So we have different aspects to it. So not only do we want to create that community where you're among other people just like yourself, but we also want to focus on, actually creating opportunities for women, right, that are in this space. So we connect with leaders that are, that actually can create opportunities for those that are maybe upcoming within the crypto and blockchain space that actually want to, learn a little bit more. And then the other aspect as well is it's just education. So we do host like different workshops, different in-person events, stuff like that, where we're also, bringing in some really great leaders in the space to talk about some of the latest trends like NFTs, the metaverse, Web3, all of that good stuff. So it's a little bit of both the networking and the education piece as well.
Nice. So we had another, I know we only have like a minute or so left, but we did have another couple questions come in. So first question was, do you have any platform to recommend if you want to participate in the NFT market?
Yeah, so I would recommend going on to CoinGecko, clicking on their NFT tab, and actually taking a look at some of the different like categories within the NFT space. Because as an example, right, if let's say you're someone that's really interested in sports, right, you may want to focus on some of the sports NFTs, right? And there's a lot, right? I do talk about them quite a bit because there's some really, really up and coming ones, right? But that's where you're able to actually find those specific platforms in the sports NFT space, right? Or if you're, maybe you're into the fashion world, then that's where you want to look at certain platforms. I know like Gucci, as an example, had some really amazing drops that they had for some of their NFTs, and maybe you want to focus on that area, right? So CoinGecko is a really good place to start because they have a good list of all the different kinds and categories within the NFT space. And then, like I mentioned, you could either, buy the digital NFT that's in that space, or you could just invest in the coin that's kind of connected to some of those projects. So you kind of have one or the other, which is really cool.
That is neat. Well, we are actually at time. That kind of flew by. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. Super appreciated. I'm happy to throw it back to Meg. Ashley, I don't know if you have any last words.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much. The questions were amazing. And also want to officially welcome you to Crypto Babes too, because we'd love to have you as well. But yeah, thank you so much for having me.